I'm Elisa Mortensen, and this is Undo Redo. Let's take a look at all the things that happen in life that we would like to undo and have a chance to redo. Hello to all of you. How are you? How are you at this very moment? Can I say that you have survived 100% of whatever has gone down in your life? You're here, and that means you're more than just letting it all happen to you. You're doing something about it. Even only by believing that there are more answers out there for you, you're finding a way to take charge of your own life and bring in your own power. So, do you know where the ownership of this power is? Do you know where you access it? It's in choice. You making decisions, that's your superpower. So good for you choosing to be here. Let's dive in to change not met with positivity. I received a question from a friend. She asked, how do you respond if people around you don't like the changes you're making? Or in other words, what if your changes aren't being met with positivity? I will add to her question with, what if you haven't made the changes yet because you're afraid your people will not meet your change with positivity? First, I'm going to tell you a story. My kids were raised by me mostly, my example to them. I would believe that it was one of service, hard work, faith, and diligence. On the flip side, it was also one of blame, judgment, and punishment when I tell them they're making me mad or making me tired, or they drove me crazy because they're being so naughty. I was handing my emotional well-being over to them, which is way too much responsibility for a young child to do well with. I wasn't even doing well with it as an adult. It's my own responsibility. Also, you would have heard me say things out of anger, like, now they have to be punished. So in mid-2019, I found coaching. One day I decided to change, but I didn't quite know how. I did know I wanted to look at the bigger picture. I wanted to back up and see what was happening. My anxiety was way too high for me to handle. I was in panics over it. So to see the big picture, I was just going to quit. That's what I decided. And I had heard this advice on a podcast I listened to. I was just going to quit helping them, quit forcing them, quit reacting to them, quit soothing them, quit doing anything at all for them. And this wasn't just for my kids. This was for my husband and friends and everybody around me. I was just too exhausted at this point. It's like I put myself in a timeout. And I chose to only observe what was happening. So guess how that all went? They reacted with so much disapproval. They told me I was being mean, and my kids were teenagers, right, at this point. What kind of a mom doesn't help? When they would ask me for help, I would just tell them how to do it. Hey, Mom, I need clean clothes. I'm like, great. Bring them to the washer. I'll show you how. I did things that I didn't at the same time. I wasn't like totally mean, but it did seem mean. When Dad was stressed or grumpy, it was, why wasn't I doing anything about it? It was also, I was being told I was the one ruining it when Dad was happy. I was the reason he was mad. Like, look at what you've done. You've made him mad now. Now that he's happy, we're supposed to not make him mad. I mean, they were just like blown away. They even told me at one point I wasn't being Christ-like anymore. So that's how that all went, all right? What do you do if your changes aren't being met with positivity? I don't know. What do you do? We just let them. We let them not like it. We allow them to use their power of choice to make their own experiences. Maybe they'll choose that for this experience, they will not like what you're doing. And that will result in them feeling annoyed with you, or maybe angry and frustrated with you. Maybe they choose not to like it because it's just new to them. It's different than what you've done before. Our brains are so afraid of new things, but that's their decision, isn't it? It's their work to do is on their own reactions, taking ownership of their own emotions or not. They get to see it however they want. It is their life. They create it with their own experiences, just as you have your own life. You cannot be responsible for the way they are feeling. They choose. Now, for some clarity here, I'm going to throw this in. If you know you are not being catty or malicious, withholding love or compassion, or aiming to punish someone with your changes, like if there's no agenda here, and you are certain that what you're doing is coming from a place of love and growth, working towards connection, there is no way in which you can blame yourself for their being unhappy, is there? You can act from a place of love, understanding, and compassion for both of you. It may be a new situation for all involved. I can promise you it's worth going through the discomfort to get to the other side where it will eventually be a new normal. It takes time. Back to me talking about my story. Do you know how eye-opening that was for me? It was definitely the beginning of my decision to change even further. I took ownership of my poor example. I owned the part where I was teaching them intolerance. I was showing them how to call out others, making their decisions right and wrong, and putting blame on them. Quick to punish, quick to judge. I was the one misbehaving. I was making it all an issue. All about me and my need to control other people and to teach other people and to show other people. This is far from being truly Christ-like and loving myself and others no matter what. It was opposite. I was devastated when this all came about. I was all about controlling another, and I was building resentments. I was holding on to the negative stories. I was thinking of my kids in ways of what they did and how their behavior was instead of who they truly are, and they're just making mistakes, and we all do. We stay narrow-minded and closed to change when we believe that it is someone else who needs to do the changing. There are a few things that I'd like to caution you about when starting your changes, just some things to watch out for. One of them would be thinking you've made the wrong decision because it's affecting others around you. Doubting yourself and question if it's all worth it because of the negative disruptions that it's causing in its wake. These disturbances are temporary and they only happen for the first while of change. So that's one thing. Another thing to watch out for is defending yourself. Someone once said, I forget who it was, defense is the first act of war. So trying to get them to see and agree with you, convincing them to be embracing of your new changes, you don't need anyone's approval. You know you have love for them and for you. You mustn't leave you out of this equation. Be unapologetically you. You've likely spent a lifetime being afraid of disappointing other people or terrified of being talked badly about or thought badly about. Don't change you when you are met with some disapproval. You don't need anyone's blessing for you to change. You get to change your mind whenever you want. Make sure you're not turning your back on what you felt called to change because of these reasons. Abandoning your needs and your desires to please another every time will eventually result in a net negative in your life, and that's too great of cost. When our own discomfort grows because we're taking care of everyone else, it becomes too great for us to continue. And in that space, we easily find that the justification for abandoning all the change altogether, and we'll revert back to the way that it was before. Calling it a failure, it just wasn't meant for you and that you'll never do that again because that just doesn't work. Be willing to have your own back here. Write down and remember why you felt those changes were necessary. You're the one feeling the need for change. Go get what you do want instead of avoiding what you don't want. Be willing to let your people not like your decision to change. If you are not connecting deep within yourself, which then connects you to heaven and truly aligns you with your direction and purpose, you will become less useful to others. You must put oil in your own lamp. Like your oxygen in the airplane, the oxygen mask goes on you first. The impact you can have in the life of those around you is far greater with your own growth. So my question for you is, are you willing to feel straight up offense, judgment, and disapproval, or possibly rejection from other people in order to keep stepping into the next version of yourself? Where do you see this true in experiences that you've already had? In what area of your life have you already had growth and you love where you're at now versus where you used to be? The universal truth here has been said: we can only love others as much as we love ourselves. How do you speak to yourself? How nice are you? Is there blame? Is there focus on what you're lacking? Is there a lot of comparison? Quite possibly you'll notice that you blame others and that you're focused on what they lack as well. And that is the truth, my friends. Love yourself enough to follow through even when it's new, and that makes it hard and it makes it scary for our brains and everyone else's because we don't know how it's going to go. You guys, I loved this topic today. I had so much to say about this. I had to split it in half and make a different podcast topic with it. But keep your questions coming. Let's stay interactive. Please send me a story, how you are using some of these takeaways from the Undo Redo podcast. Others are curious what you're using and what your takeaways are, and they want to know what you're doing in your life. So I think our other listeners need to hear your examples. We inspire each other with our stories. So go to lifecoachalisa.com and send me a story. My email is lifecoachalisamortensen@gmail.com. If someone came to your mind while listening to this podcast, share it with them. That's how the heavens reach us, is through each other. So let's be listening for that. Sign up for time to chat with me for free, you guys. This coaching stuff is amazing, and you must try it out for yourself. It brings about so much more connection and joy. I will not stop offering this free to everyone to have a chance to try this, and I really look forward to talking with you on a call or on next week's episode. Thanks. Bye.